Hey guys, so today is the next day. You guys saw yesterday's video where Ruth got called for her lung transplant, and we were trying to figure out because last time you guys saw us, we were just waiting to see whether or not she was going to get the lungs or not. So last time we spoke to you guys, it was probably about 2 or 3 a.m. and we didn't know whether the lungs were going to be viable or not until 4:30 a.m. So in this video, you guys are going to figure out whether or not the lungs were actually viable. So Ruth is right here. Okay. So that should be like a tell sign for you guys that obviously the lungs weren't viable. So do you want to explain what happened?
The lungs were viable, like she said. I was up at 3 waiting for the call.
Because we were supposed to know by 3 o'clock. Because the person or the donor was supposed to go into surgery at 1. But it was like 3:45 and we still didn't know. So
we obviously fell asleep. And I heard my phone ringing, picked up. And the coordinator was like, yep. At first she sounded peppy. She's like, hey, how are you? And she's like, unfortunately. I was like,
what's your unfortunately? You already know.
You're just like, dang, bro.
Yeah, so
you sounded so happy in the beginning.
Yeah, so then I got a text message from Harry, which is Ruth's husband. He was like, yep, they're not doing the surgery. And I was like, seriously?
Yeah, because because I had switched out Rachel for Harry because only one person can be in the patient room at a time because
during
it's flu season. And so Rachel, obviously, she didn't want to leave my side. She was like, I have to be here with you. I want to see you do this. And I was like, Rachel, we have to let the other visitors see me too. We have to let other families see me too. So we brought in my husband Harry, and then I was gonna bring in my mom after.
And the nurse was nice. She was gonna let all 3 of us come in.
She doesn't get in trouble for that.
To pray before she went to surgery, but I mean, she didn't go to surgery, so
yeah, that was really important to me because the first time they were telling me I wasn't gonna be able to see everybody, and they were like, oh, they could see that I was like upset, and I was just like, at least for a prayer, like, come on, like, to at least say bye. But she was like really nice, and she was like, yeah, it's okay, you guys can switch out and then you guys can pray at the end before you go into surgery.
Yeah, this nurse was like a little bit nicer than last time.
Like lenient. I guess everybody's different.
Because last time it was 2 people that were allowed in the room, but they couldn't switch out. So the 2 people that were there were the only 2 people that could see her, even all the way up until the surgery.
Yeah, like last time, Harry was in there. My husband, he was the one holding the camera when I did the last video in the pre-op room, and my mom, you could hear her in the background a little bit in the video. So yeah, she was there too. But yeah,
we were tired. By the time we figured out, we were just like, oh, again,
I was surprised. I was like, it was taking longer, so I thought that was a good sign. I thought that was a good sign that they were getting things ready, but they just took longer to evaluate the lungs. Like I said, they put the lungs in a box, which means, they inflate the lungs, they see how the lungs do breathing and stuff like that. And so then, they can decide how functional they are and whether they'll be good lungs, because they really want to make sure that they're really high quality and stuff like that. So
yeah, and just like last time, they didn't tell us why they didn't use the lungs. They just tell you that it's not viable. So that's what happened yesterday. And then this morning was a whole nother twist
thing
of events.
Yeah.
So Ruth is gonna tell you.
Yeah, so went in at 10, and then we got back home around 7 a.m.
Slept for a couple hours.
Slept for a couple hours. But then I was getting messages from my My Chart, which is basically like an app that the hospital uses. And I was like, I get messages from that all the time. So, obviously we had only gotten a couple hours of sleep. So I was just kind of sleeping through the text messages sounds. And then my husband calls me. He's like, you need to call your coordinator. So I was just like, okay.
Her transplant coordinator, that is.
So I called my transplant coordinator. He was like, you tested positive for having a cold. And I was just like, okay. And then he was like, I'll call you right back. I got to call the team. And I was just like, he's like, I don't know how this is going to affect you being on the list. And then I called him back like 20 minutes later. He's like, yeah, we're going to take you off the list for a couple of days until you get over the cold. And I was just like, really?
So like the day after, not even the day after, basically the same day that she got called for the transplant, she also got taken off the transplant list. So basically, like, if you have a cold, and I don't know if it's just for lung transplant, I think it might be for other transplants as well. If you have a cold, they will take you off the transplant list, because basically a cold is a virus. So if you have like any type of infections or any type of colds, or if you spike a fever, they'll take you off the list. So yeah, so this morning she got taken off the transplant list. So we don't, basically she has to get over the cold
to be eligible,
to be back on the list.
Which sucks, because the weekend is the most likely time. Like, today is Friday. The weekend is the most likely time
to get a donor,
for you actually to be able to get a donor. So I'm missing out on a weekend where I could potentially have gotten a donor. But I got a cold out of nowhere. I didn't even know that I had a cold, because
we couldn't tell either.
Yeah, my family didn't even notice. But with this type of like lung capacity or whatever, or with CF in general, the symptoms mimic cold symptoms, like
24/7,
congestion, feeling fatigue. For me, I was like, I'm feeling tired, but I was like, hey,
it's normal.
I'm feeling tired.
Yeah,
it's normal or whatever. So I was just like, hey, whatever, bump up the oxygen. Let's keep it moving, whatever. Go to rehab. Been going to rehab every day. But today he called me this morning. He was like, don't even go into rehab. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was actually supposed to graduate today from one class to my next class in rehab. And he was just like, yeah, just don't go today.
Yeah.
So that's the first time I've ever had to miss rehab. So, yeah. But I guess we're going to have to let you guys know when I can get back on the list. But for right now, we just have to wait for the cold to go away. And usually I'm really, really careful. But somehow, and I'm not usually wearing a mask when I go to rehab or to the hospital, but somehow I got a cold, and that is definitely a no-no when you are a transplant candidate.
And I think the reason is, if I'm wrong, correct me if I am, but I think the reason that they take you off the transplant list when you have a cold is because it's a virus. And basically the medication that they give you
is an immunosuppressant.
It's supposed to suppress your immune system, because
so you have no immune system.
Yeah, so you're getting a transplant, or you're getting like organs that are foreign to your body. So your body's natural instinct is to fight against that organ. So they give you the immune suppressants, and that's basically lowering your immune system, I guess, in some shape or form. So imagine if you get a lung transplant and you're taking these medications to suppress your immune system, but you have a cold.
You have no immune system to fight the cold, and it's only going to get worse, and it's going to make your recovery a lot harder.
Definitely.
Especially if it's lungs in particular. I can imagine, because you need your lungs to breathe. Yeah. And that's where that cold or that flu is going to manifest more. So obviously with other organs, it's the same case. I don't think you can get transplanted if you have a cold or a fever.
I know you can't get a transplant if you have like a cold or a fever. If you're getting like a heart transplant, because I saw it on a show.
Grey's Anatomy, I saw
I'm pretty sure it was Grey's. No, it was The Resident.
The Resident? Okay.
It was The Resident. So I know that. And I guess it's the same thing for lungs, and maybe it qualifies the same thing for other organs too. Because, I mean, either way, you have to take the immune suppressant medication. So it's like lowering your immune system, I guess, in some way. So, yeah, that's where we're at right now.
Keep us in your prayers. Keep me in your prayers that I can go.
They can only pray for you?
Keep us in, sorry. Keep all of us in your prayers. That I can get over this cold and that we stay strong and that I can get back on this list
soon.
Yeah, because as we're missing days, we're just sitting here and we want to be making progress. We want to get transplanted and we want to move forward. And I was saying that this morning. That's what I get for being bougie and complaining last night for that little bit.
Because they called us at 10 o'clock and we were tired.
And I was like, oh, I want to go to bed. I want to go to the hospital. And God was like, oh.
You want to act bougie.
You don't want to go to the hospital.
After I already gave you a donor. Let's see what you're going to do now. So
let's see what you're going to do now. You're going to be waiting even longer for your new lungs and still feeling bad and stuff. So, yeah, guys, be grateful.
Don't complain.
Don't complain. Don't complain. This is my lesson learned the same day.
The exact same day.
The day before I get called for new lungs, next day I'll have no opportunity to get no new lungs for a bit.
At all. So I guess in our next video, you guys are going to figure out when you get back on the transplant list. And hopefully that'll be soon. So like Ruth said, continue to pray for us, pray for her in particular to get over this cold quickly so she can get back on the transplant list, because we could be missing out on potential donors right now.
Right at this moment.
So hopefully you guys will see us soon, because if you see us soon, that means that she's back on the transplant list, potentially. But either that or we have more devastating news. So we'll keep you guys updated.
Oh, guys, please don't forget to donate to our GoFundMe.
Oh, yes.
The information is down below.
The link
in the
is
description box.
Yes.
I just want to thank everybody that has donated so far. Thank you so much for your generosity. We try to make sure that we send out messages to each and every person. It really, really helps with, like our medical bills and our expenses over here in North Carolina. And, with us not being able to go to work and things like that. And even Rachel had to quit her job to come here and be a caretaker. So it's really, really helpful to us. So, yeah, keep us in your prayers.
So on that note, guys, we'll see you next time. And bye.
Bye. See you later.